The silence of the night was broken by a phone call that no one expected. A trembling voice, filled with pain, echoed through the line. Jungkook's mother was crying, her words fragmented, her tone urgent. On the other end of the call was Jin, startled, alarmed, and unable to comprehend how a situation could escalate so suddenly. Within moments, witnesses claim, Jin abandoned all plans and rushed directly to Jungkook's home. But what exactly happened that night? Why did the sound of a mother's tears push one of the most composed members of BTS into immediate action? The incident began with what many initially assumed to be a routine call. Jin, known for his calm nature and ability to manage tension, was reportedly caught completely off guard when Jungkook's mother called him instead of her own son. Sources close to the situation described her voice as broken, heavy with an emotional burden she could no longer contain. For Jin, who has always placed family and loyalty above all else, the distress in her tone was unbearable. Questions began spreading rapidly. Why Jin? Why not Jungkook directly? And what secret was hidden behind those unexpected tears? Observers familiar with the close bond among BTS members noted that Jin has long shared a special trust with Jungkook's family. The fact that Jungkook's mother chose to dial Jin's number first raised suspicions of something deeply personal, perhaps even a matter that Jungkook himself was not immediately aware of. The urgency of the situation became clearer when Jin, visibly shaken, contacted Jungkook in a tone described as uncharacteristically tense. According to those close to the matter, Jungkook was shocked by the call, confused by Jin's sudden panic, and desperate to understand why his mother's voice had carried such pain. As the hours unfolded, speculation intensified. Some insiders suggested that the tears of Jungkook's mother may have been tied to overwhelming pressures that come with being the parent of a global superstar. The constant spotlight, the relentless scrutiny, and the personal toll it takes on loved ones often remain invisible to the public eye. Could her cry have been the breaking point of years of silent endurance? Or was there a more immediate, concrete crisis that demanded Jin's physical presence at Jungkook's home? What remains undeniable is the raw human reaction that followed. Jin, usually measured and deliberate, reportedly acted without hesitation. He left everything behind and went straight to Jungkook's house. The urgency of his decision painted a picture of a man unwilling to wait for answers, a man who needed to stand beside his younger brother at a moment when silence was no longer an option. For ARMY, the very idea of Jin rushing in such a state of alarm sent shockwaves across social media. The fandom, accustomed to polished stages and carefully curated appearances, suddenly found itself confronted with the reality that even idols face moments of profound vulnerability when family is involved. Jungkook, upon receiving Jin's sudden call, was said to be deeply unsettled. Accounts describe him as pacing, trying to process why Jin sounded so disturbed, why his usually calm Hyung could barely mask the urgency in his voice. When Jin finally arrived at his doorstep, the tension reportedly grew heavier. What words were exchanged behind closed doors remains a matter of speculation, but witnesses claim the atmosphere was grave, the kind that left no room for casual explanations. The deeper question lingers. What drove Jungkook's mother to tears powerful enough to rattle Jin? Some fans argue it could be tied to health, others to emotional strain, while a few suggest it may involve the suffocating weight of fame that inevitably extends to family. While no concrete answers have been revealed, the very nature of this chain of events underscores a truth often hidden from the spotlight. Behind the glamour of global fame lie families who carry burdens invisible to the public eye, yet unbearably heavy for those who live them. The emotional storm that night left both Jin and Jungkook in a state that ARMY had rarely seen. Questions began flooding every platform. Was Jungkook aware of the struggles his mother was silently bearing? Did Jin know more than he revealed when he called Jungkook in panic? And above all, why did the distress signal fall first into Jin's hands rather than directly to her son? The lack of answers only deepened the intrigue, leaving a trail of uncertainty that continues to echo among fans. For ARMY, the image of Jin rushing to Jungkook's home has become more than just an anecdote. It is a stark reminder that beyond the carefully guarded world of performances and schedules, there are unspoken bonds that bind these men together, not just as colleagues, but as family. Jin's instinctive response, his refusal to wait, and his determination to be physically present in a moment of crisis speak volumes about the depth of loyalty that often remains hidden behind the stage lights. Some analysts point out that the incident exposes a recurring theme within BTS, the protective role Jin has consistently embodied. As the eldest, He has often shielded the younger members from emotional turbulence, even when the cost fell on his own shoulders. The episode with Jungkook's mother only amplifies this narrative, portraying Jin as a pillar of quiet strength whose presence becomes essential in moments of despair. The tears of a mother, in this context, were not just personal. They were a cry that reverberated through the group's very foundation. Yet, despite the speculation, one fact remains unchallenged. That night changed something. The urgency of Jin's movements, Jungkook's visible shock, and the silence that followed left a mark that ARMY cannot ignore. Did it bring them closer? Did it open unspoken conversations within the group about the price their families pay for their fame? Or did it expose hidden vulnerabilities that may never be fully explained to the public? These questions remain suspended, unanswered, and perhaps intentionally so. What continues to fuel the intensity of this story is not only the emotional weight, but the secrecy surrounding the details. Fans have debated endlessly about the content of that initial call. What exact words did Jungkook's mother say that left Jin panicked? Why did Jin choose to call Jungkook immediately instead of attempting to calm her first? Was there an element of fear, of danger, or of a deeper truth that could not be contained over the phone? The absence of clarity only heightens the tension, transforming the event into one of the most emotionally charged mysteries in BTS's recent history. Even now, ARMY struggles to reconcile the image of their idols with the stark reality that unfolded that night. The tears of a mother, the panic of an elder brother, the shock of the youngest, all colliding in a narrative that strips away the glamour and reveals raw humanity. In this story, there are no rehearsed lines, no stage lights, no choreography, only emotion, vulnerability, and the reminder that even the strongest can be shaken when family is at stake. As the echoes of that night continue to ripple through the fandom, one question towers above all others. What truly happened in Jungkook's home when Jin arrived? The answer may remain hidden, locked within the walls of trust that define their bond. But for the millions who follow their every move, the weight of that unanswered question lingers, heavy, unsettling, and unforgettable. And perhaps, in the end, that is the lesson this moment leaves behind. Fame may shield idols from many things, but it cannot shield them from the tears of a mother, nor from the instinct to protect family at all costs. For Jin and Jungkook, that night will forever stand as a silent testimony to the ties that bind them beyond music, beyond performance, beyond the gaze of the world. Stay with us for more insights into this unfolding story, and subscribe now to ensure you never miss the developments that continue to shape the narrative behind the stage. The unanswered questions from that night still hang heavy in the air. Why did Jungkook's mother bypass her own son and direct her first call to Jin? Was it because she feared Jungkook might not handle the emotional weight of her tears? Or was it because she saw in Jin a figure of calmness, someone capable of absorbing the shock before it reached her son? These uncertainties are not just personal curiosities. They strike at the very heart of the trust and relationships built among the members and their families. What cannot be denied is the sheer urgency of Jin's response. According to those close to the situation, Jin wasted no time asking for clarifications. He did not wait to analyze. He did not pause to weigh the implications. He immediately dialed Jungkook, his voice cutting through the silence of the night with an urgency that could not be mistaken. Was this instinct alone? Or was it a sign that Jin already sensed the depth of the problem? Reports describe Jungkook's reaction as equally startling. Known for his composure and resilience on stage, the Golden Magne was suddenly reduced to silence, struggling to piece together why his Hyung sounded so distraught. When Jin's voice trembled, Jungkook's confusion deepened. And when the words finally registered, "Your mother is not okay," he was left in a state of disbelief. Was this a health emergency? Was it emotional collapse? Or was it something entirely different? Something that even Jin could not put into words over the phone. As speculation grows, fans and analysts alike are beginning to see this event as a turning point. For years, ARMY has admired the seemingly unbreakable walls of BTS's emotional strength, but here was a moment that shattered that perception. Jin's decision to physically rush to Jungkook's house was not just about urgency. It was about responsibility, about embodying the role of protector that he has silently carried since the group's earliest days. Could it be that Jungkook's mother trusted Jin precisely because she knew he would act when others hesitated? Social media platforms erupted within hours of the news breaking. Millions of fans demanded answers, filling timelines with messages of concern, shock, and speculation. Yet amid the storm of theories, one sentiment rose above all. The recognition that idols, no matter how invincible they may appear, are deeply human when confronted with family crises. Was this the very moment that stripped away the last layers of distance between ARMY and the reality of their idols' lives? Jin's image that night, panicked, urgent, and deeply human, was in sharp contrast to the polished perfection fans are used to seeing. Analysts argue that this could redefine the way ARMY perceives the group's unity. No longer is it just about shared stages and synchronized choreography. This was about crisis management, about who stands with whom when the spotlight fades. It is about loyalty not measured in words, but in urgent steps taken toward a friend's door when a mother cries out for help. The mystery of what exactly caused Jungkook's mother's tears continues to loom large. Some point to the suffocating demands of fame, suggesting that years of relentless pressure may have finally reached a breaking point. Others whisper about more personal issues, the kind that families rarely share with the outside world. Whatever the reason, the fact remains that her cry was powerful enough to unsettle Jin, powerful enough to prompt action without hesitation. And that alone makes the event historic in its own right. Jungkook himself, sources say, was left shaken. Imagine the weight of being told by your elder brother that your mother is in distress before you even hear it from her yourself. The shock, the guilt, the confusion. Did it overwhelm him? Did it make him question whether he had overlooked signs of her struggle? These are questions that may never be publicly answered, but they are questions that burn deeply in the hearts of those who follow this story closely. What truly happened behind those closed doors when Jin arrived remains an enigma. Was there an embrace, a confrontation, or silence too heavy for words? Witnesses speak only of the gravity of the atmosphere, the way the air seemed thick with tension. Whatever was said, it was enough to leave a lasting impression not just on those present, but on the millions who now speculate about the hidden battles that families of global stars endure every day. And here lies the core of the story, the undeniable reality that fame does not shield anyone from the rawness of human pain. The tears of Jungkook's mother pierced through the walls of stardom, dragging Jin and Jungkook into a night that neither of them could escape unscathed. The eldest member's rush to the youngest side is not simply an anecdote. It is a powerful statement of solidarity, of the unspoken promise that no matter the circumstance, family, whether by blood or bond, must be protected. For ARMY, the event remains haunting. They replay it in their minds, analyzing every word, every detail, every possibility. Did this moment change the dynamic within BTS forever? Did it open doors to conversations about the silent burdens their families carry? Or will it remain a hidden scar, known only to those who lived it, until the answers are revealed? If they ever are, the image of that night will remain etched in collective memory. A mother's cry, Jin's panic, Jungkook's shock, and a rush through the darkness to stand where loyalty demanded he stand. This is more than a story. It is a mirror of the fragility that lies beneath fame, a reminder that behind every idol is a family whose tears cannot be ignored. For those who follow this story, one thing is certain: this moment will not fade easily. The tension it created, the questions it raised, and the emotions it uncovered ensure that it will be remembered as one of the most intense and mysterious nights in BTS history. And the question that will continue to echo long after the tears have dried is simple yet impossible to ignore. What really happened in Jungkook's home that night, and why did a mother's cry have the power to shake even Jin to his core?